What is up, guys? This is Jared Spalding here, and today I'm going to be doing another video talking about mistakes. Before I did a video, I believe it was the 3 biggest mistakes silver investors make, or 5 biggest mistakes. But today I just want to be doing kind of another video like that. It's just going to be mistakes to avoid when silver stacking, and these are more of beginner mistakes, but anyone can fall into them. So let me just start right off here, and I guess we'll be starting off with something that I talked about a lot before. And that, of course, being fractional bullion. Well, I'll only go over this quickly because I've talked about it many times on my channel before, but this is definitely something that, beginners will buy thinking that, in the future, their silver is going to go up so much in value that this is going to be easier to sell than, your whole bullion like this over here. But honestly, fractional bullion, with the premiums you have to pay, you're still going to be losing money, and there's always going to be a buyer for everything out there. No matter what you're selling, I can promise you there will be someone who's willing to buy it. So definitely don't fall into the trap of buying this, because the companies who are producing these tiny little bars are charging such a premium that they're making a lot more than people who sell these larger bars, and that's why they do this. You notice it's usually smaller companies. Like this is ACB, I believe, the American Certified Bullion, and you'll notice that they just have like little designs on them and stuff like that. But a lot of the time, it's simply a way for a smaller company to make some easy money, because of the amount of a premium that they'll charge on these things, then they'll certify them. Really, 1 grain of silver, 5 grains of silver. Honestly, don't fall into the same mistake that I did, because it is a very costly one, and just overall something that you really want to make sure you avoid. Now, the next mistake I'll be talking about is not diversifying out your stack enough. And what I mean by this, of course, is not having the different types of silver that are pretty much necessary to any stack, which are, in my opinion at least, bullion, and then numismatically valuable constitutional silver, as well as junk silver. I think that those are the 3 things that are really necessary. And then beyond generic bullion, there are other things you can get, like the high premium stuff, but I usually just kind of avoid that personally, because of the fact that I think it's the least beneficial out of the 4 that I can think of. Of course, fractional is worse than that, but I just not something I usually get involved with. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but, many people will only invest in, let's say, generic bullion, for example, or maybe even high premium bullion. It's usually the 2 that I see. People will have like a 1,000-ounce stack or something, but all the stuff they'll have is either going to be like, hand-poured bullion, there's generic bullion, and then the high premium stuff, and they'll have like 10 ounces of constitutional, and I'm like, I think that really you should be splitting it anywhere from 40-60 to 50-50, in terms of 60% being, and this is weight of course, but 60% being generic bullion or just bullion in general, and 40% being constitutional. I try to diversify my stack pretty well. The limited funds I can put into silver, I have 28 ounces, 7 grams in bullion, 7 grams of course coming from that fractional stuff. And then I have right around 23.87 ounces put into this constitutional, and that's including numismatically valuable constitutional as well as junk. But basically, the limited funds I can put into silver, I've tried to put into diversifying. Sorry about that, but what I'll say is that the limited funds I can put into silver, I've put into diversifying out my stack very well to protect myself in every situation. Whether it be a dollar collapse or even something as simple as, a price falling. Whatever it might be, or a bubble popping, let's call it. Whatever it might be, I try to make it so my stack is protected one way and another way as well, so I never have to sell at a loss. Now, another mistake I want to go over is paying too much for silver. Oh man, this is one that I honestly don't know how you can fall into. It's the simplest thing I can think of to avoid, I understand falling into the mistake of buying fractional bullion. You might hear that it's a bad idea, but you'll hear other people say it's a good idea, and then all of a sudden, you make a choice and you decide to buy something. That I can understand, and I can even understand not diversifying your stack. You could be thinking that you want to put most of your money into a certain type, and you're not really thinking about the long-term consequences. But overpaying for silver is really one I don't understand, because it's so easy to figure out the current up-to-the-minute silver price. You can go to Coinflation, for example. BCG has Coinflation, is currently the app I use, and there's many other good sources out there too. But my point being, you can go pretty much. It would take you like 2 minutes at the most to find the current silver price before you buy, right? And I still see somehow people are buying like 1 ounce bars, for example, for $50 a piece. I've seen this being sold before. Another YouTuber talked about it, and he was showing it and showing that they were sold out of these 1 ounce bars for $50 a piece. And if you went and looked just a little bit, you would know that the bars they were selling were generic bullion, so they aren't worth much over the their melt value. And you know that the melt value at the time I think was like $16. I mean, this is just one that I don't think too many people do fall for, but the ones that do, I mean, it's really sad. And honestly, if you're gonna fall into a mistake like that, maybe you're not even competent enough to be silver stacking. I know that might be taken offensively, but honestly, you do have to be. I mean, you don't have to be like some genius to do it, but you have to have at least a decent amount of common sense to understand, what a good purchase is going to be and what's not going to be a good purchase. I mean, it's really not that complicated, honestly, and just really something I don't want to see any of my viewers falling into. So, I'm sure any of you guys who watch me educated yourself enough to know that at least the current silver price, and I'm sure that's pretty easy to know. But just really was a mistake that, I really don't want to see anyone falling into anymore. And so, the next thing I have to cover here is buying silver from unreliable sources. And this can be either bullion, such as a generic bullion, or constitutional coins that are numismatically valuable. Let me just explain here. I think I've said many times, usually junk silver is not going to be fake just because it's going to cost more to fake than it's going to be selling for. However, even these coins might be something that would still be a little expensive to fake because none of these are super numismatically valuable. I mean, they're worth well over melt, but they're not like, a $1,000 coin or something, obviously. These are just like pretty standard dollar coins that might sell for $25 a piece if I'm lucky. I mean, this is the nicest one I have, and it's worth about $50. But other than that, they're really just not anything special. So even these might not be worth faking, but once you get into the really nice stuff, and let me give an example of one. This coin right here is 1801 Spanish coin. Since it's really a lot smaller, it'd be easier to fake than those coins. It would cost less to produce, and the detail thing on it, it doesn't have to have super sharp details. Since it's kind of worn away, even if they messed up a little bit, it wouldn't be super obvious. So this would probably be one that could be faked. And you're probably thinking, well, you're such an advocate for this, but I don't see your coin being graded. Well, I'm not saying that everything you own has to be graded. And honestly, even a coin that's certified could be fake because of the fact that it's not the coin you think it is, which I'll cover in just a second here. But this coin, I did buy from a reliable source, somebody that I've dealt with before, done transactions with before, and I just know, like, they're not going to be selling me a fake coin, or at least I would assume not, just because of the fact that they're a really reliable seller. They have several thousand feedback. That's all positive, 100% positive feedback. And, they've sold many high-value items before, and no one's ever been ripped off by them before, so definitely somebody that I figure I can trust. And not only that, but also, you do have to consider the fact that even if somebody, because you could always say that somebody might have done successful transactions in the past, but they decided that it would be more profitable to sell fake items, right? And that is what happens, unfortunately, to some sellers. But you do have to remember with this, this seller's been on, I believe, since 1999, so 17 years of selling. Between that and how much feedback they have, and the fact that they've done large transactions, much larger than this one, that is really what makes me trust them. Because usually I don't want to buy from smaller sellers, but as long as they at least have a decent amount of feedback and it's positive, and it doesn't seem like robots wrote it, so make sure you do go through some of the feedback and make sure it doesn't, it doesn't just all say the same exact thing or something. But as long as all that's good, then they're most likely the coins are going to be real. And of course, I know that they could have gotten the coin that was fake and not knowing it, but at the same time, you are kind of taking a risk because I picked up this coin really cheap, so I know I was kind of taking a risk buying it ungraded, and that is a risk you have to take sometimes. But anyway, I've gone off on a huge rant here, but basically what I was saying for this mistake is that, don't buy from super unreliable sources because of the fact that they could be faking the coins or, selling you even stolen items, such as all those bars over there might have been stolen. Let me show them. I mean, they do have serial numbers on them, so they're kind of easily traced. I mean, it's not like, it's digital or something, so they're going to be able to look it up and find exactly where it went, but they will be able to find where it was to a certain point, and it might be able to be traced to, the person who stole it, and if that were the case, then, chances are they're going to rat you out, because they're going to be like, oh, I sold it, who sold it to, and they might rat you out, or just, it could be traced back to you, so that's definitely something you want to avoid also. That's why you should never buy a bar from a guy who's selling it for like half the price it should be, because that really does seem suspicious. But overall, just between fake silver and potentially stolen silver, that's another really big mistake I would definitely consider avoiding. I'm sorry again about the huge rant I went on, but the next mistake we're going to talk about here is assuming certified coins are real, as well as buying junk slabbers. And the only somewhat junk slabber I have here is this ICG coin. This is PCGS and then NGC, so they're both really reliable. But let me go over what both of these mean. Now, trusting even good companies can be bad because of the fact that, and I've explained this before, but what somebody could do in theory, right? So let's just think of a nice coin, right? So one that's really valuable, like a 1909 SVDB wheat penny, right? And this isn't necessarily silver stacking, but this can apply, of course, to silver coins too. But let's say, since this coin, and let's say in the condition they bought it was worth $1,500, right? And they buy this coin slabbed, of course, and then what they do is they crack open the slab, and what they were going to do is take out that coin, they send it into PCGS, get it graded again for let's say $50, and then they have the coin back. So they just put $50 into it, and then let's say they spend another $50 replicating that 1909 SVDB wheat penny, one that looks really similar to the original one, and then they put that in the other slab. Then what they do is they sell both of them, and let's say they sell them for $1,400 a piece, right? So $2,800 they made off of $1,700. Now, making $1,100 in, let's say it took them a week, that's pretty enticing to some people. If someone, especially someone who's struggling for money, or just has a talent for that type of thing, would definitely be enticed to do that if, let's say they weren't, like I was saying, they are struggling to get money, or maybe they just want to make some, quick money, or in this case, currency. I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. But, chances are somebody will jump on that opportunity. I'm not saying everybody will, but chances are somebody will do that. There are many people who do that already, and this is a really good way to, get a coin that's worth pretty much nothing. Now, you probably could resell the coin yourself, although that would be, for one, it'd be pretty messed up, but for two, if somebody else found out it was fake, you'd be in a lot of trouble yourself. So, definitely something you want to make sure you avoid, and that seller, chances are, it's going to disappear after they sell that coin and maybe a few others. So, it may be really difficult to get that money back, and they might have put that money in an account in a different country, which chances of that are very, very low. You have to remember, but it is possible to happen, especially when you're dealing with larger sums of money. And the other thing I'm talking about, junk slabbers, and here's a really good example of one. This is, I believe, International Numismatic Bureau. Never heard of them before, but I picked up this coin for like $10. This is another mistake I made when buying. Not silver, it's a 1984 S Cameo PR70 Roosevelt dime. And, this coin, chances are, is not worth that much money. compare it. Like if PCGS had graded it at this, then it would be worth about 70, but this one's probably worth 10 because of the fact that this is really a junk slabber, really bad example of one. And this coin might not even be the PR70 that they're saying. I mean, PR is not even the type of grading that normally applies to coin. I'm pretty sure it's PF and then MS. But either way, this coin was probably already pretty decent, but then this had a lot of polish applied to it to make it look a lot nicer. And this coin as well is an example of one, but junk slabber is basically just a company or a slab from a company that's not very reputable. They'll slab up a coin and try to make a quick buck selling the coin themselves and making it look official when it's really not. But anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and that's it for this one. Peace, love, and much respect.